My lifestyle was completely different. I lived on frozen dinners, prepackaged meals. I very seldom ate a vegetable. I loved them, but I never prepared them. I was a sugarholic. I lived on Little Debbie's snack cakes while I was preparing my not so healthy packaged dinners. So I really didn't cook for real much.
Welcome to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Anna Zinn, plant-based registered dietitian and transition coach. Hi, friend. Do you want to regain your health with plant-based eating but feel overwhelmed and lost about how to do it? Do you feel it'll be hard to change your meat-heavy diet and impossible with working, running the home, or chasing after the grandkids? If so, you're in the right place. Here you'll find simple strategies, clear nutrition guidance, and practical tips to help you thrive plant-powered with more energy. So if you're ready to ditch the guesswork and transform your health the stress-free way, cozy up now with a hot cup of tea or listen while you walk, and let me show you how doable plant-based eating can be. Let's do this. Hi, friend. Welcome to this episode. Today, I'm excited to have Cindy Eagle join me as a special guest on the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. I'm thrilled that she has agreed to come and share her experience of how plant-based eating has impacted her life and health over the last 6 months. Hello, Cindy. It's so great to speak to you. Welcome to this podcast, and thanks for joining me here today.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for having me.
Could you tell us just a little about yourself and your background?
Sure. Well, my name is Cindy Eagle. I'm in my late 50s. I had a heart attack last November, which was completely out of the blue. I always thought I was extremely healthy and invincible. And then my husband and I were living off grid. We were deep in the woods with no electricity, and his health has been failing. So I was doing all of the manual labor of our household. We had 3 dogs and 3 cats and chickens and everything that a homestead needs. I love to crochet, so I'm very sedentary by nature. I have to make myself get out and exercise. And my husband, he has terminal illness, which I'm his caregiver. I've been caregiver since the beginning of COVID. And I guess that pretty much sums me up.
Thank you for sharing that, Cindy. I'm so sorry to hear about your husband with his terminal illness. So, are you now moved into a more urban city environment?
Yes, we have moved in with my daughter. She has made us a mother-in-law suite because I had the heart attack. I was no longer able to maintain by myself. So now I have the help of my daughter and her husband and my granddaughter.
Oh, that's wonderful that you have a granddaughter as well. How old is your granddaughter?
She is 16. She's not so little anymore.
That's great. So, Cindy, prior to starting plant-based eating, what was your diet and eating like? Like, how different was your lifestyle before?
My lifestyle was completely different. I lived on frozen dinners, prepackaged meals. I very seldom ate a vegetable. I loved them, but I never prepared them. I was a sugarholic. I lived on Little Debbie's snack cakes while I was preparing my not so healthy packaged dinners. So I really didn't cook for real much. We also visited McDonald's and Burger King regularly. My eating was horrible.
Thanks for sharing that. Well, it sounds quite standard, actually. A typical diet that most Americans would be on, or those in the Western world. Convenience foods with those frozen dinners, packaged meals, eating, mostly a meat heavy, processed foods heavy diet. And fast food is a big part of many households, just with busy lifestyles or just the convenience of it. There's a reason why I think almost every couple of blocks there's a fast food restaurant, right? It's just
That's
so
true.
popular. So did you at that time have any specific health issues or diagnoses you were struggling with?
I did have pre-diabetes that I knew about. but I wasn't too concerned about it because it wasn't full-blown diabetes. And it's a bad mindset, but I think it's a common mindset. And so I didn't really concern myself with the prediabetes. I figured I wasn't worried about it until it became real diabetes because it was just a fake diagnosis in my head.
That makes sense. So it sounds like at that time, apart from the pre-diabetes, you were pretty much in otherwise seemingly good health as you thought you were in. And it sounds like you weren't on any prescribed medications then, were you?
No, the only time I ever got prescriptions was when I got sick and I needed antibiotics. I had never in my life been on prescription medications.
I see. So that's a good segue into when you actually started plant-based eating. And it sounds like there was that catalyst of a turning point with the heart attack, wasn't it? Could you
It,
go into that in a little bit more detail and what happened?
I can try. Like I said, I felt on top of the world and I just was carrying a 50-pound bag of dog food from the truck into the house and I felt funny. I just felt really weird. So I put the dog food down and I told my husband I was feeling funny. I didn't feel right. And so I decided to lay down. That didn't make me feel better at all. I was up within 5 minutes and just pacing. And then I told him, I says, geez, I think that something serious is going on. You better call an ambulance. And then he called the ambulance and I did end up passing out in the ambulance. I remember the ambulance driver yelling at me saying, stay with me. Don't you go anywhere. And then I went right from the ambulance onto the operating table. And then I was perfectly fine after that. And I woke up after the operating table and learned that I had a major heart attack.
Wow, what a sudden experience to have. And what kind of surgery did they end up doing for you?
They put one stent in my LAD, which is one of the major arteries around the heart.
I'm so glad the surgery was a success. And when did this happen?
It was November 27th of 2023. So it was right after Thanksgiving time and before Christmas time.
Just what timing of things, right after Thanksgiving and right before Christmas.
Yep, during the holiday season.
I can see that that was a major event that changed and shifted many things. Was it after that that you and your husband moved in with your daughter?
It was right after that. Yes, we moved probably December 1st. By December 7th, we were actually living at my daughter's house.
And so, how soon after that did you decide to make a change towards plant-based eating?
I started doing research immediately, trying to figure out the best diet for heart health. And at that time, I changed to clean eating. So I was just eating vegetables and meats, and I cut out beef because everybody knows that beef is bad for the heart. But everybody thinks chicken and salmon are good for the heart. So I was eating lots of chicken and lots of salmon. And I was eating the olive oil because I was leaning towards Mediterranean. I had never even considered plant-based. And then I read Dr. Esselstyn and it just clicked. Oh my God, I have to cut out all of these meats and all of these oils and I have to eat plant-based. It just called my name. I was like, I knew that was right. And immediately, as soon as I read that, I switched plant-based that day.
Wow, and what day was that?
February 14th. It was on Valentine's Day.
How apt to have it on Valentine's Day, symbolized
I
by all the hearts.
yeah, I had a doctor's appointment that day, and I told my doctor I was considering going plant-based. He says, "Yeah, most people can't do that. They go Mediterranean." He says, "So I suggest you go Mediterranean." I said, "No, I'm going to be eating plant-based." So on that day, I became a plant-based whole food eater.
How wonderful. And it's a great day to mark the start of your new plant-based diet journey. So it sounds like it was a sudden change made that day. And how did the transition go the first couple of weeks when you were starting on it?
It was actually very easy. I immediately started looking up Facebook groups to try to find recipes because I did not have a clue. But I knew that I wanted to eat beans for my protein and I knew I wanted vegetables. So I started eating just cans of beans with vegetables and Mrs. Dash seasoning. And that was it until I started researching some recipes so I can vary it up. And I learned that eating whole grains was very healthy. So I was able to add them in, and then came my love for Buddha bowls. I still eat them like most days. And the Buddha bowls consist of my beans, which usually now I use the dried beans because I don't want the salt and processing of the canned beans. But I do still do canned beans also. And then I cook my own grains. I cook a whole bunch, enough for a whole week. So I can just dig out of the bowl and have things prepared real quickly. Then I make sure I have a green vegetable and then a colorful vegetable with it every time.
I'm so glad to hear that the first few weeks went relatively well for you, even though you made such a big transition.
Right. Well, I felt like my life depended on it. And it really does because I was just eating myself to death and it's craziness.
I can understand that. So, when you made such a switch, did you have any gut issues or other GI problems?
I actually still have GI problems sometimes. But yes, I had a lot of gas. Luckily, people stayed away from me. And oftentimes I would feel bloated. And I do think it was from probably introducing the beans too quickly, too much, too quick. I had read since then that I probably should have started with like half a cup of beans a day and moved it up, but I started full force.
I see. Hopefully, it's at least a little bit better now. And
It is.
okay, good. And I'm pretty sure as you continue on this lifestyle, your gut will kind of catch up. It's building its muscle, strengthening it at the moment to digest all this nutrient rich, fiber rich foods you're having. And I'm pretty sure it will continue to improve in its ability to do so.
I am sure it will.
So, along with these diet changes, did you make other significant lifestyle changes at the same time?
I did make changes with water intake. Along with the standard American diet, I was addicted to Diet Pepsi. I had quit drinking Diet Pepsi, and of course, that automatically upped my water consumption. And even still, I will drink a Diet Pepsi occasionally, but I make sure that I get my water intake first before I allow myself to drink that. I have two 32-ounce water bottles that I fill in the mornings, and I try to go through both of those every day.
That's great. So, when did you start seeing positive changes to your body or health? Like, what were the first few things you started to notice after you made this sudden diet switch?
The first thing I noticed was increased energy. I feel more compelled to get up and away from my sedentary life. I want to go outside and play in my garden or walk my dogs. And before I had to make myself do that stuff. I didn't really see weight loss immediately. My scale showed it, but I didn't see it in myself. So I weigh myself daily, and my scale was telling me that I was losing these pounds, but I didn't see it happening until my closest family members were like, wow, you're really losing the weight. And I couldn't see it until I had lost probably about 30 pounds. I had been losing about 10 pounds a month, probably until about 2 months ago. It's evened off since then, which I'm now at my ideal weight. So that was expected. And after the energy surge, I guess I started going to sleep easier because I was more active during the day at that time, I believe. So I was expending more energy and able to rest more soundly.
That's wonderful to hear that the first thing you experienced was the increase in energy. That's definitely a sign that something is kind of going in the right way for you. And it makes sense because your body's picking up that it's able to receive all these good nutrients to help nourish it, which is very different from what you were having before. And sometimes that happens. We don't really notice any changes until someone else around us or someone who hasn't seen us in a while, they look at you and they're like, hey, you look very different. So sometimes it takes other people to notice the changes in us before we do ourselves.
That is true. Yeah, I had to rely on the scale to tell me because I wasn't seeing it personally.
So thank you so much for all that you shared with us so far, Cindy. I'm definitely excited to delve more into your plant based diet journey and the changes you've experienced in your health. So let's pick it up again, this conversation, in part 2 of this interview.
Okay.
I hope you feel empowered and encouraged to see what eating a whole food plant based diet can potentially do to one's health. If you're now excited to learn more about plant based eating and want to explore how it could truly help your specific situation with your current health challenges, I invite you to reach out and connect with me. Send me an email at healthnow@plantnourish.com or see the link in the show notes. Let's transform your health and life together through the power of whole plant-based foods. Thank you for listening to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. If this podcast has helped you, please rate and leave a written review on the Apple Podcast app or iTunes to let me know. Nothing will lift me up more than to read your review and see how this podcast has made a difference in your life. I also pick reviews to read on this show, so your review could be one of them. Come connect with me in my free Facebook community group, Beginners for Plant-Based Diet Success. Just go to bit.ly/PB Diet Success. That's bit.ly/PB Diet Success. You can also subscribe and follow this podcast to get notified when a new episode goes live. Signing off now, this is Anna, and I wish you the best health always.